Hello everybody, welcome back to Easy Weeknight Cooking with Heart's Desire Spice Blends. Tonight we're doing something very tasty and a little bit more involved, but as you know, around here it's always worth it, right? So we're going to be doing homemade corned beef. And you've probably seen rumors around about our Corning spices being available in both medium and large jars, and you've probably gotten a couple of emails. If you need to get onto our email list about that kind of stuff, let me know. Meanwhile, what are we going to be needing? 1 cup of kosher salt. Now, this is not a low salt recipe, but there are ways to keep it a little lower, so I'll share those in a minute. 2 quarts of water, 1 hot, 1 cold, 1 pound of ice. This amounts to 2 cups of water that has been frozen. It's going to expand, just weigh it. Your ice cubes will never measure the same, just weigh it. 1/2 cup of brown sugar. Trust me, this works very, very well. About a 4 to 5 pound brisket. And later on, you're going to be needing 1 small cabbage, 2 to 3 carrots, 1 small onion, and about 1 pound of potatoes. Definitely. So about 4 to 10 days before you want to sit down to dinner, you're going to start this. Now, I like to do a 4-day brine and then roast it after I'm done. That way I don't have to boil it all day and change the water and change the water and change the water. It works really well. So what you're going to start with, 1 quart of hot water. Do be careful, it's hot. And you're going to add this to a good sized bowl. Watch yourself there. It is really hot. You're then going to pour in your 1 cup of salt, your 1/2 cup of packed brown sugar, and your 2.5 tablespoons of pickling spices or Corning spices. Go ahead and mix that up. We're going to make sure everything dissolves in this hot water. The smell is heavenly. Oh my gosh. Those Corning spices are just, they are doing their thing. The brown sugar in this will definitely help bring out a lot of flavor, and it will temper some of the acridness of that salt. Now, once this is fully dissolved, definitely make sure it is fully dissolved. You want that water really good and hot, or else it's not going to dissolve everything. And it looks like we have dissolved everything. You're going to pour in 1 quart of cold water. Now this is going to bring down the temperature of this so we can put our beef in it pretty quickly. And then 1 pound of ice. This should bring down the temperature the rest of the way. And trust me, you do not want to put your beef in hot water when you're trying to brine it. It will get tough, it will start cooking. You want this water cold, or at the very least, just cooler than room temperature. Go ahead and stir it until all that ice dissolves and take the temperature of this. If it is still warm after the ice dissolves, then you're actually going to put it in the fridge for a little while. And I can tell this stuff is already starting to cool off on the bottom. Not all of the ice is dissolved quite yet, but it is definitely cool to the touch, which is excellent. I really need to know that. Now, while that is melting the rest of the way, I can grab something to put this beef in so it can go in the fridge for 4 days. And I love using a Ziploc bag because that way I can escape all the air, make sure this thing is submerged the entire time it is supposed to be brining. Because if it's not submerged, it's not brining on those parts that are not submerged. Go figure. Grab your roast, put it in the Ziploc bag in this wonderful container. All of my ice is melted and this is nice and cool. Time to pour. There we go. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to close this up And as you do that, you're going to get as much air out of this as humanly possible. This is going to go into the fridge for 4 days. Every single day, you're going to take this out, shake it up a little bit, move the beef around, and then put it back. What happens after that thing's already ready? Well, first of all, you're going to be putting that in one of two things. My favorite is actually to put it in a Dutch oven on 200 for up to an hour a pound to make it nice and tender. Low, slow cooks with the kind of fat cap that you have on a brisket are beautiful and necessary. That's going to let all the collagen in that meat dissolve and just make everything so tender it falls apart. The other thing you can do is use a crock pot. And let me go ahead and show you what we've got. With the crock pot, you're going to let that be on low for 8 to 10 hours, high for about 4 to 6 hours, depending. So you'll go ahead and put in some liquid with that if you brined your roast for more than 4 days or don't want a very salty roast. You make sure that you put a good amount of fresh water in there, at least a quart. What I've gone and done here, I've roasted this one. Now this needs to go off to the side because I've got a use for all this beautiful stuff in the pan, and I have reserved some of the liquid that this came out of before it went in this pan here. Now that particular roast has been in brine for 4 days, and most of the time you'll see people telling you to brine it for 7 to 10 days. I like 4 because I don't get nearly as much salt in there, and I can roast it. I love roasting. You need to see this. This is gorgeous. Yum. So you're going to let this rest for at least 15 minutes before you serve. The next thing you're going to do is take 50-50 of that reserved liquid that roast came out of and fresh water into here. Turn it up to high heat, and you're going to cut up your vegetables. There we go. Let's go ahead and get some hot water in there. Now, most of the time, this is called a boiled dinner for a reason. You're going to be boiling your vegetables. You've got potatoes, you've got onions, you've got cabbage, and you want all of this wonderful stuff to take on the flavors of that corned beef. So, what we're going to do, put this on high so we can start boiling. I like to cut a small cabbage into quarters. Just put it on in there. Go ahead and fit those on in there. You can cut the cabbage down if you can't seem to fit everything. Then what you're going to do is cut up your onions. You cut each half in quarters. Now all you need to do is cut off that root end and kind of shove those in there. Gotta have your carrots. I like these in big chunks. Slot these up on in here, and this wonderfully reserved brine mixed with the warm water is actually going to impart a ton of flavor to these vegetables in a very short amount of time. While that is cooking, why don't I show you what I did over here. Now this ought to take anywhere from 15 minutes to half an hour, depending on how long it takes your pot to heat up. So probably a half an hour before you're ready to sit down to dinner, get this going. Meanwhile, back here in the crock pot, we added everything that I just added to this pot into its brine, just doing the old slow cooker shuffle here. And I added those about half an hour ago. I love these things. Would you look at that? That, my friends, is a corned beef dinner. Oh my gosh, falling apart. Look at that. That's what I'm talking about. Now, if you want this to not fall apart on you literally, where you're trying to cut and it just comes off in chunks, but you want it that tender, refrigerate it overnight. You can cut it in the morning and it is beautiful. It holds together just wonderfully. Seriously, yum. Seriously, yum. Nom, nom, nom. Oh my gosh. It has been so long since I've had something like this. This is fabulous. It's not overly salty. It's falling apart. Oh, the texture is marvelous. And it's so flavorful. You don't get these kind of flavors without the complexity of a really good Corning spice. I mean, yeah, you could get, you know, pickling spice from goodness knows where, the Dollar Tree or whatever, but it'll never compare to this. Never ever. Let's try a bit of this vegetable. Here. There we go. Oh boy. You still taste that beautiful carrot. So, my friends, that is the world's best corned beef dinner, straight to you. And you guys keep things tasty. I know I will.